I'm joined here today with Christo. Christo, welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks very much for having me, Dave.
It's great to have you here, and I mean, we've only known each other for a brief time, but you've got such an amazing story, and wanted to have you on the show today to tell everyone about that and our audience. Thanks for everyone been tuning into our latest episodes. Look, Christo, let's start with a bit of an introduction on yourself, basically who you are, your history, and what brought you to Darwin.
Sure. Okay. So I have a performing arts background, and just before I came to Darwin, I was actually a clinical nurse. I'm a national agency nurse, so I travel around the country doing short contracts as a nurse. And I came to the point in my career where I felt I needed a change. I was, they call it burnout, and I really felt that, and I thought, I came here for a holiday in October for 2 weeks, and I kind of fell in love with the place. And I think it was the weather as well. It was hot. It made me feel like I was in Southeast Asia, only I'm in Australia. So I quickly decided, right, how am I going to do this? I'm going to step out of the nursing, and I'm going to have a go and look at my performing arts background. How can I turn that into an income and a career? So I contacted some friends down in Melbourne, and they suggested that I look at Marnie. She's the director of Darwin Performance Academy. And I contacted her and sent her my dance profile, and she was very happy to bring me on board. So
that's amazing. And I mean, I guess we met each other at the end of, was it the event with Glory? Through Glory.
That's right. Yeah. The international event that she had going, the international dance event. And I met Glory at coming to Bashada class, and she's been a catalyst for me to learn more about what's going on here in the performing arts in Darwin.
Yes. Shout out to Glory, by the way, if you're listening or watching. Yeah. It's she's great. She's a lovely lady. Very high energy.
100%.
High energy. She brings. So if you wanted to get into bachata or Latin dance, definitely hit her up. Ballet School. I'm sure she'd appreciate the shout out.
Yeah. So that's how you and I met, and from meeting Marnie and starting getting involved in her school, I could see that there was a deficit up here of having a dance summer school. And I thought, okay, this is something I experienced when I was a young fella, and I thought, okay, let's see if we can put something together.
Sure.
And I was working on the website, and I was doing all that. That's when I saw you, and I was like, hey, he's a promoter.
Yes.
Let's have a chat.
Because it can be a bit tricky sometimes. I mean, Darwin's very small. And we have a lot of, compared to other places, I guess, if you like, it's word travels around here a lot quickly because you've got a more tighter community, and people love sharing things, especially things like this show with people that they're close to. So, such a pleasure to have you on the show. It's great. But I want to talk about dance. I mean, I have a dance background myself, so I am interested to hear more about how you got into that. How long you've been doing that, and your particular style that you're doing. You said you ballet contemporary. Do you want to?
Sure. I mean, I have to thank my mum actually for getting me into it. And I was actually thinking about it on my way here, like, because I knew you were going to ask me this question. And I thought, what actually happened was I was 9 years old, and I was living in a very small fishing village called Bermagui on the south coast of New South Wales. And we went to an end-of-year concert for year 10 high school that was in Narooma, and I went to that, and there was some ballet in it, and my mum said, hey, do you want to try that? And I was like, I mean, I didn't really think much of it, but she ended up taking me to a dance school, and I enjoyed it, and well, more to the point, I won stuff. So I was kind of like, yeah. I'm not sure if it was just because I was a male.
You got something from it, right? So you put yourself out there, you gave it a shot, and you got something out of it. Yes.
100%. And then we moved to Canberra, where I did my high schooling, and I went to the National Capital Ballet School, which is with Janet Curran. She's a former Australian ballet dancer, and she was married to a Royal ballet dancer, Brian Lawrence. And it took it to the next level. And I fundamentally, I'm a classical ballet dancer, and then I've been introduced to a lot of different other styles. I was very privileged. I mean, I got to each year we would perform at the Canberra the Canberra Theatre.
Wow.
That's the main theatre in Canberra. Llewellyn Hall, which is the Music Conservatorium, and the National Gallery. So this is all before. This is all. I was about 16 when I between the ages of 10 and 16, and then as I got older. Just before, so I finished year 11, and then I was like, where am I going to go now? And I went and auditioned for the Australian Ballet School in Melbourne.
It's amazing. Yeah, that's such a extensive history in there, and I don't think I have met anyone in Darwin with such an extensive ballet history. That's a male anyway. I mean, I've known a few female ballet dancers, but yeah, that's great.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, there are a lot of females out there, but particularly in classical ballet, like in Australia, we're not Russia, we're not, Europe, we're not Italy. These countries and France, they have a very strong, classical ballet background.
Yep.
I went to the Australian Ballet School. And I got, when you go to this school, you get a lot of, you get introduced to, and you're on a big stage there with regards to people who come in and teach you. My first job actually was with, I was in first year of the Australian Ballet School, was with Baz Luhrmann, the director. He, famously up here in Darwin, he did the Australia, the movie.
Yes.
Right. So when I met him, that was when he had done Strictly Ballroom, and he was then going on, he'd done an opera called La Bohème, and he was doing another opera called Midsummer Night's Dream, and he needed dancers. And so he came into the Australian Ballet School, and two of us, Simon Hoy and myself, we got to do a Melbourne season. He was happy with us as dancers, and he then asked us to go to Scotland to the Edinburgh Festival. So I'm like, I was like 18, and it was really like stars in my eyes. Like I'm first year Australian Ballet School. I got 3-year course here. Once you finish the Australian Ballet School, the likelihood of professional contract is like 95%. So it's a very tough course. And the dropout rate's high too. So that's a full-time course that I did. Once I finished the Australian Ballet School, I was injured, but I did short contracts with the Australian Ballet, Opera Australia, and then I went on and learnt Pilates, which is the rehabilitation exercise program, which is actually developed on dancers. So that was pretty good, and it was an easy transition, and I could still do a little bit of dance while I was teaching the Pilates.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It all sort of wound into the one thing, didn't it? That's great.
Yeah.
Now that you're in Darwin, you obviously you said you had some things you saw in Darwin that you wanted to explore and do, such as the summer school, but for those listening, I think there's some more people coming to Darwin, and you could probably say from experience, what are the main things you've noticed different from Darwin to other capital cities out there that makes Darwin unique, you feel? Okay,
well, I actually feel like Darwin is almost, I know very much the weather is different, but it's similar to Hobart. Hobart is a small, it's actually quite a sophisticated little city, and quite creative. And I noticed that immediately when I came here. There's a beautiful melding of cultures here, and we're so geographically close to Southeast Asia that you walk down the street and you can go, oh wow, they look like they're from maybe India. There's somebody from Southeast Asia. There's an Australian.
Yes.
There's a Papua New Guinean. Like it's really cool. And I went to the art gallery. And of course, we've got a very strong Indigenous up here,
of course.
Being so close to Arnhem Land. And these are not what I've experienced down south, Melbourne, Hobart, even Sydney. It's not the same. It
definitely isn't the same. Yeah, it definitely isn't the same. And I can attest to that because I got here in 2001 from the Adelaide Hills down in South Australia. Just a bit of background on me there, but it's so different. I'd say, what's the word? Not commercial, colonized differently in other states. Just
Absolutely.
the history of how it's developed. Whereas I think, I mean, I'm no historian by all means, but I think the Northern Territory has sort of captured that multiculturalism, also allowing more, being so close to that other areas of the world, being able to have that multicultural culture, which is great and quite unique to Darwin.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the reason why I decided to come here. It's got a unique feel to it, and I could see potential, and I could see particularly potential in the arts. And of course, you know, I have background in performing arts, so I thought, okay, what can I bring? What can or what can I stimulate here? And that's where I was looking at this summer school, and that's only one aspect, but to bring more international instructors here to get people what the university is interested in is having a degree in dance.
Oh wow!
And
That's big.
so they don't lose their students
Yes.
that are currently having to go to WAPA or to Queensland, to Melbourne. If they had something like that here, you retain your students.
Yes, I've found that a lot actually. There's a lot of professions and career paths, if you will, that mean they just don't. They either something's not started up here, or it's just more developed interstate because it's got a bigger thing. So, esports, I can say that's one of them. That's in the gaming industry. It's huge down south, but dance definitely. I think that's. But we've got some strong dance groups happening. Latin is pretty strong now, and the ballet's probably going to get stronger, I dare say.
Let's see. I mean, I'm not. Classical ballet is very specific, and I mean, I think if you look at dance in general, I like to look at that more. I have, I'm not an elitist. I'm not like here to sort of push total, classical ballet agenda. Also, classical ballet is kind of like. It's hard to connect, it's such a full-on technique like classical music. Sometimes, a younger generation might not, they're like, what? I watch music videos. That's what I resonate with. So you got to kind of, I feel you got to be flexible in the way in which, classical ballet technique is a good tool then to even hip hop or whatever you're interested in.
Yeah.
So I'm a big advocate of also choreography, and for an individual to learn their own unique form of dance,
That's great.
then you can enjoy it for your whole life, and you're not and you're not pigeonholing. Oh, I'm a ballet dancer, I'm a hip hop dancer. I only do this, I only do salsa, I only do that. It's more, we're all dancers, and we all do a little bit different thing, but we're all similar.
Yeah, we're all, I guess, artists in a way with our own paintbrush. It's just if you're willing to pick another paintbrush up or stick to the one,
100%, and that paintbrush is your body.
That's
and
right.
So therein lies like the beauty of something like the aesthetic line of classical ballet, because and the sophistication of that technique, because then you can apply it. It's like learning more about different colours on the palette when you're painting.
Sure.
That's all.
That's it. No, that's a good analogy. That's been very insightful. So what are your thoughts, I guess, going back to the main, I think the premise of this this podcast would be why? Why are you so passionate about answered this already, but why are you so passionate about what you're doing, and what are you looking to get from that? If that makes sense.
I think what my passion lies in the fact that from a young age I had the ability to express myself through a form of performing arts, which is dance. This expression has opened my world up. And I got to travel. I even as a fairly young age, as a teenager, I got to go to the Edinburgh Festival. I've worked in Spain, I've worked in the Netherlands, I've worked in India, Russia,
Sure.
being able to That's why I love the ability to express, and
Yes.
I want to deliver that to other people so they feel confident enough to be able to express themselves.
Great answer. That's really good. It's the ability to give something to others, right? And that's the common trend with all these different things. People don't tend to do things unless, well, doing it for other people. Like you're doing a service for some people.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, as a nurse, you know, you're supposed to be altruistic and you're trying to help people heal or whatever. This is a little different, but it's like lighting a flame and getting people to learn about themselves and how to express in
Yes.
whatever in a medium. And I've seen it, and when you see a young person, or it doesn't matter, don't have to be young, because you can do this at any age. You see them blossom, and you see a little spark, and they kind of go, wow, I never knew I could do that, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see it.
Yeah, it is really good to see. I see it a lot, even with karaoke at a basic level. People, we encourage people to get up at a karaoke night that may never have done karaoke before, and just seeing them going from being intimidated by the singers and all the other singers to giving it a go, getting off the stage, and going, wow, they feel empowered. You're empowering people to do something that they would never have thought they would have done.
That's exactly.
And we can do that in anything. And dance is a really good one to do. I highly recommend dance, whatever dance you're into. And now you're going to have a way to get into classical ballet, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. With this summer school, which it may or may not happen due to COVID, but it's going to happen. I'm going to definitely make sure this happens up here. Because I've identified that there isn't anything like this, but I want the local talent, the local dancers, and there's actually extensive dancers here that are dancing at a high level,
Nice.
to be able to be introduced to more international instructors,
Yes.
and then maybe some different styles like flamenco, like sevillanas, like even Indigenous dance. We've got a very well-known Indigenous dancer up here who does workshops, Gary Lang.
Yep.
And
It does ring a bell, that, yeah.
yeah, and you got the company Tracks. They're very good.
Yes.
And so, your normal dance school doesn't get to taste these sorts of styles. So this is what I experienced when I was a young man, young fella, not actually a young man, I was quite young, that you get a little sample. It's like on these summer schools, you're not going to be doing that through your school term, but you get to have a little taste of something that is quite different, and then it kind of it layers and assists your other dancing.
Sure.
So I was looking at Siobhan McCulloch. She's an international dancer. She was working predominantly on the cruise ships, and she does. But what a very popular dance form right now is called acrobatic dance.
Nice.
So she was doing that on board the ships because it's very, it combines gymnastics, so it's very flashy, and it's quite technical as well. Things like that. So although the teachers here at the local dance schools here, they will be teaching their students this. You
Sure.
get an outside instructor, and they might have another couple of little different things that they can add to it.
Great.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. The level of connections and wow, it's just amazing to hear from you. I've had a few guests on the show, but someone of this with this experience is just amazing. I'm actually blown away.
Well, I think, I've been very lucky. I've been very lucky. Like you get connected, you get well connected when you somewhere like the Australian Ballet, and the dance world within Australia. It's not that massive, and so we all kind of we all just sort of point to each other. Oh, you know this person, or this person is good at that. That person. So you just kind of pull them together, and that's actually what. Again, getting back to the question, that's what I want to do for Darwin.
Yeah, networking and collaborating is something I've found successful with what I'm doing as well with entertainment, crossing it over with, that big event I had a chat to you about before. It was the end of year event that we did last year, bringing together people with their own sort of material, paintbrush if you want to call it that, and putting it all in this nice big, never before done event. And I think that's what works up here is multiple people coming together for a common cause, and the ability to network is very, if you can get a strong network of people wanting to see something happen, it's going to happen.
100%. And I see up here also potential. This is what's going on in Darwin is it's still growing. You look at Sydney and Melbourne, Brisbane, it's a little flooded, but up here it's still growing. And so if you can get in at the ground and you can start things up, and you can like I said, you can grow the community, and you can grow the dance community. And if it's also something like giving advice or assisting with CDU, the university, and how they want to do their curriculum, things like that. Like, this is all going to benefit the community here.
That's great. No, it's amazing. Well, Christo, look, is there anything else you want to share with us on the show? I mean, I'm sure we can go on for hours, but is there any particular messages you want to put out there to the community? Any messages like?
Yeah, sure. I mean, all I can say is don't be shy. If you see something, you see a flyer or you see a website and it says there's a salsa class, or there's a bachata class, or there's a flamenco class, or there's a ballet class, or there's a hip hop class, just throw yourself into it, because you'll be surprised. People don't care what it looks like. It's going to be how you feel about it. And
take the plunge, yeah.
Take the plunge.
And I think that's more important than ever now. I know we have COVID, and obviously abide by the restrictions, whatever they are in place, and we got to play by the rules. But I mean, there's so much uncertainty now. It was one thing, like a few years ago, it was easy to sort of sit in the fence and go, yeah, I'll do that next year, or I'll do it. But I'm not saying that time's running out. I'm not trying to say that, but I'm just saying that, go with what you feel will be for you. And if you want to give something a go, then like Christo said, just take the plunge, get into it, give it a try. I mean, there's no harm on just trying something that you think might be the best thing for you. And if you've got a partner as well, like, encourage them to do something if you think it might be best for you and them. I mean, yeah.
That's it. That's it. And I mean, although that's true, it feels like there's uncertainty. There's one certainty: dancing's fun, and just have a go.
Makes you feel good. I think they've scientifically proven that both music and dance, playing an instrument, something like that, is scientifically proven to make you feel better. So
yep,
I don't know anyone that wants to feel worse.
That's right. That's right.
Definitely give it a go. And I'm sure Christo will be available. We'll, if you want to just reach out to the podcast here, or reach out to myself, Christo, be in contact. And if you are interested in that kind of thing, or what he's doing with the ballet stuff and the summer schools and everything. So.
Yep, love to hear from you.
Fantastic. Well, I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you for your time today, Christo. I'm sure we'll have you on again the show. And this has been The Why with DMoore, joined here by Christo. Till next time.